ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं
नारायणं
नारायणं
नमस्कृत्यं
नमस्कृत्यं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं
नरं
चैव
चैव
नरोत्तमं
नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं
देवीं
सरस्वतीं
सरस्वतीं
व्यासं
व्यासं
ततो जयमुदीरयेत्।
ततो
ततो जयमुदीरये।
जयमुदीरयेत्।
नष्टप्रायस्व भद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
नष्टप्रायेषु
भद्रेषु
भद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं
नित्यं
भागवत
भागवत
सेवया
सेवयां
भगवती उत्तमश्लोके
भगवती
भगवति
उत्तम श्लोके
उत्तमश्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी।
भक्तिर्भवति
भक्तिर्भवति
नैष्टिकी।
निष्ठिकी।
Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, title Conclusion, the perfection of renunciation, and verse number 11. Nahi deha vritya sakyam
नहीं
नहि
देह भृता
देहभृता
शक्यम
शक्यं
tyaktum karmani asesata
त्यक्तुम
त्याक्तुं
कर्माणि
कर्मणि
अशेषतः
अशेषतः।
yashtu karma phala tyagi
यस्तु
यस्तु
कर्म
कर्म
फल त्यागी
फलत्यागी
syatyakti abhidhiyate
सात्यागिति
सत्यागीत्यभिधीयते।
अभिधीयते।
nahi deha vrita shakyam
नहीं
नहि
देह भृता
देहभृता
शक्यम
शक्यं
tyaktum karmani asesata
त्यक्तुम
त्याक्तुं
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
अशेषतः
अशेषतः।
यस्तु कर्म फल त्यागी
यस्तु
यस्तु
कर्म
कर्म
फल त्यागी
फलत्यागी
सत्याक्ति अभिधीयते।
त्यागिति
सत्यागीत्यभिधीयते।
अभिधीयते।
यानी प्रभु जी और माता जी,
नहीं देह भृता शक्यम
न हि
नहीं
देवावृता
देह वृता
शक्यं
साक्ष्यम
त्यक्तुम कर्माणि अशेषतः
त्याक्तुं
त्यक्तुम
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
अशेषतः।
अशेषतः
यस्तु कर्म फल त्यागी
यस्तु कर्म
यस्तु कर्म फल
फलत्यागी
त्यागी
सतागीत्यभिधीयते।
सत्यागिति
सत्याक्ति अभिधीयते।
अभिधीयते। न हि देहभृता शक्यं
नहीं देह
नहीं देह
भृता
वृता
शक्यम
साक्ष्यम
त्यक्तुं कर्मणि अशेषतः।
त्यक्तुम
त्यक्तुम
कर्माणि
कर्माणि
अशेषतः।
अशेषतः।
यस्तु कर्म फलत्यागी
यस्तु कर्म
यस्तु कर्म
फल
फल
त्यागी
त्यागी
सात्यागिति अभिधीयते।
सत्यागीत्य
सत्याक्ति
अभिधीयते।
अभिधीयते। Word by word meaning? No, never.
No,
न
never.
नेवर
He certainly.
He
ही
certainly.
सर्टनली
Dehavritta by the embodied.
देह
Dehavrita
भृता
by
बाय द
the embodied.
एम्बोडाइड
Sakyam is possible.
सक्यम
Sakyam
इज
is
पॉसिबल।
possible.
Tyaktum to be renounced.
त्यक्तुम टू बी
Tyaktum to be
रिनाउंस।
renounced.
Karmani activities.
कर्माणि
Karmani
एक्टिविटीज।
activities.
Asesata altogether.
अशेषतः
Asesata
ऑल टुगेदर।
altogether.
Yeah, anyone who.
Yeah,
यह
anyone
एनीवन
who.
हु
To but.
टू
To but
बट
Karma of work.
karma
कर्म
of
ऑफ
work.
वर्क
Phala of the result.
Phala
फॉल ऑफ
of
द
the result.
रिजल्ट।
Tyagi the renouncer.
त्यागी द
Tyagi the
रिनाउंसर्स।
renouncer.
Sahi.
Sa
स ही
he.
Tyagi the renouncer.
त्यागी
Tyagi the
द
renouncer.
रिनाउंसर्स।
Iti thus.
इति
Iti
दस
thus.
Avidhiyate is said.
Abhidhiyate is
अभिधीयते
said.
इज सेड।
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.
की जय।
It is indeed impossible
It is indeed impossible
for an embodied being
for an
फॉर
embodied
एम्बोडाइड
being
बीइंग
to give up all activities,
टू
to give
गिव
up
अप
all
ऑल
activities.
एक्टिविटीज
but he who renounces
बट
But
ही
he
हु
who renounces
रिनाउंसेस
the fruits of action
the
द
fruits
फ्रूट्स
of
ऑफ
action
एक्शन
is called one
is
is
called
called
one
one
who has truly renounced.
who
who
has
had
truly
to be
renounced.
renounced.
Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this page?
It is said in Bhagavad Gita that one can never give up work at any time. Therefore, he who works for Krishna and does not enjoy the fruitive results, who offers everything to Krishna, is actually a renouncer. There are many members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness who work very hard in their office or in the factory or some other place. And whatever they earn, they give to the society. Such highly elevated souls are actually sannyasis and are situated in the renounced order of life. It is clearly outlined here how to renounce the fruits of work and for what purpose fruits should be renounced.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Let's all chant together. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjalashalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Guru Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam साद्वैतम सावधूतम परिजन सहितम कृष्ण चैतन्य देवम श्री राधा कृष्ण
Krishna
पादान
Padan
सगन
Sarvam
ललिता श्री विशाखा वित्तम हे कृष्ण
Hare
करुणा
Krishna
सिंधु
Karuna
दीन
Sindhu
बंधु जगतपते
Dinabandhu Jagatpate
गोपेश गोपिका कंत
Gopika
राधा
Kanta
कंत
Radha
नमस्तुते
Namaste
तप्त कांचन
Tapta Kanchan
गौरांगी
Gaurangi
राधे
Radhe
वृंदावनेश्वरी
Vrindavaneshwari
वृषभानुसुते देवी
Hare
प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये
Hare Vancha Kalpa
वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा
Tarubhyascha
सिन्धुवैव च पतितानां
Patitanam
पावनेभ्यो
Pavanebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
Vaishnavebhyo
नमो नमः
Namo Namaha
जय श्री
Jai
कृष्ण
Sri Krishna
चैतन्य प्रभु
Chaitanya
नित्यानंद
Prabhu
श्री
Nityananda
अद्वैत
Shri
गदाधर शिवास
Advaita
आदि
Sadi
गौर
Gaur
भक्तवृंद
Bhaktavan
हरे
Hare Krishna
कृष्ण
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna
कृष्ण
Krishna
हरे हरे
Krishna
हरे
Hare Rama
राम
Hare
राम
Rama
राम
Rama
हरे
Rama
हरे
Hare Hare
चल निवास नित्याय परमात्मने बलभद्र सुभद्राभ्यां जगन्नाथाय नमः. Thank you so much for joining this wonderful sangha every Saturday. So here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is is speaking about one of the most powerful topics of Bhagavad Gita. Most of the time, you'd hear, work is worship, काम पूजा है, and in doing so, what happens is the person gets attached to more and more the fruitive outcome of the work, because work is worship, right? And as you are worshipping, you are getting the result. You want to work more so that you get the results more, and in doing so, you are getting more and more uh, entangled into the work, so you can never get rid of the work. So you stay in the confines of the cyclical values of the work, which is exactly the opposite of what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. So in this chapter, in the beginning, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is focusing on renouncing. What is renouncing? And in renouncing, he talks about renouncing in the mode of ignorance, mode of passion, mode of goodness. And then he gives his opinion. And now he's talking about who is a true renouncer. Who is a true renouncer? He's giving example here. So first he talks about the traits of renouncing in different modes. If you systematically study, that is how it is starting with. It's starting with a person who is renouncing in the mode of ignorance. How does he look? How does his announcement look? What is his behavior? What are the characteristics? Then he goes on to next verse. What is renouncement in the mode of passion? And then mode of goodness. Then he summarizes. Then in 11, he talks about a true renouncer. So, so here the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, Nahi deha vrita sakyam tyaktum karmani asesata yastu karma phalatyagi satyakti abhidhyat. That means if a person is there, right, whether he person is working or he's retired, even if a person is retired, he's doing something or other. He's either doing something to keep his health right. Because sometimes what happens, whenever you are not working and you become very immobile, in the sense that you stay confined to a room, then your heart doesn't get the right amount of muscles power to really pump blood. That's the reason why a person who do, who after retirement, you'll see that they earlier, by virtue of going to work, the health was trying to feed itself because of their doing something. But as the activity stops, they cannot do anything. They become incapacitated. When they become incapacitated, their heartbeat reduces, their blood pressure goes up, their arteries clogs down, and then these are some of the causes. So the person, in order to counter that, typically will end up doing something. So the person will have to do something. He will have to do the work, get some result, or he becomes retired, but he still has to do something because he has to run the machine. Run the machine where there is a lungs, there is a heart, there's a kidney, and the peripheral things. So the person has to do something. Physically speaking, he has to do something. Even if think about from a materialistic perspective. So whatever he has accumulated over a period of time, over a period of his 30, 40 years of service, he will have to maintain it and he will try to invest. He will have to do something. And then in doing so, he becomes entangled. In the first case, when he is not running for money, he gets entangled in building a muscle or getting some systemic improvements so that he gets better with body. And then he becomes entangled into that. He runs on a treadmill. And nowadays you see people are running on treadmill, but they do not know what is inside. And eventually they're collapsing on the treadmill and they're dying. Likewise, if a person he's working or doing investing or something, he's getting entangled to multiply it, multiply it, multiply it. So, so instead of really not focusing on the work, we are focusing on the results of the work. And here, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is giving example of who is a true renouncer, and Srila Prabhupada is taking it to a higher level. So let's try to understand a little bit about. So in 10, he talks about who is a wise renouncer, who is a medhavi, who is a wise renouncer. But then he's becoming practical. The Supreme Personality of Godhead in the next verse 11, in the prior verse, he uses the word Medhavi. That means he is a wise renouncer. But in this verse, he talks about a true renouncer. That means what should we do? What should you and me do? What should the people who hear this conversation do? Because because most of the time in different parts of India, work is worship. We are asked to worship work, and but we have not been told what to do with the result of the work. So we keep on doing work and work and work, and then eventually we become entangled. So in 3.5, Lord Krishna says everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature, in the form of whether he is ignorant, whether he is passion, whether he is in goodness. So, so based on the mode, he will end up doing something. So think about a kid, a kid, he's gone somewhere. Now he comes to a group where his mother is there. The kid doesn't need anybody to tell who the mother is. He or she will find the mother. He will go. He will take solace from him, mother, and and he naturally will end up doing something. Like say, for example, if you have a house and you have a backyard and you see there's a lot of weeds coming out. Generally, nobody's going to tell you that don't do the weed, the walking or whatever, clean up. You naturally go and clean up the weed because the tendency for us is to see something, and based on the modes of material nature, how we are, if we are very focused on ignorant, we let the weeds go. But if we are in the mode of passion and we don't want to do the weed walking, we'll basically pay somebody to do it for us. But if a person who is in the mode of goodness and he knows that these weeds are going to create problem for the tulsi plant or tomato plant he or she is planting in the backyard, is going to give trouble. He is going to do it by himself or herself. So by default, he's going to respond, and that response is all about how Krishna mentions that helplessly, according to the qualities, according to the modes, he's going to respond. So he will do something. So not doing is not a choice. You have to end up doing something, and then and based on the modes, if you're in a mode of goodness, urdham gachanti sattvata, madhyati shanti raja. So that means if a person is the mode of goodness, he is born with the right values and virtues, he will do something positively so that he goes up. And those in the mode of passion, he will they will lead a very enjoyable, so-called materially enjoyable life, and and they will continue to stay within the confines of that place. And the person with the mode of ignorance, jaganya gunavrittista adho gachanti tamasa. That means the people who are in the mode of tamasic, they go down. So in this context, when you think about the people who are focused on the who are inspired with the mode of goodness, they will end up doing something. Likewise, the mode of passion will end up doing something, and the mode of ignorance will end up doing something. And but so the example of half empty is given, and that is where Adi Sankaracharya mentions in his Bhaja Govindam in Vishnu Sahasranam 21. He says, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Varanam, Punarapi Janani Jathare Sayaram. That means we will keep going back and forth and back in a cyclical way. We'll go into our mother's womb, we'll take birth, and then we'll die. We'll go back to another mother's womb. And that's how we're going to cyclically continue our life. We are never going to get out of this cyclical situation, which is very difficult in our ability to get out. And, 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 and that is where, however you try, uh, we can't do much. So, and that is where Lord Krishna mentions, Yat karosi yat yasnasi yat juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi konteva tat kurusho manatpanam. That means whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, just do it as an offering to me. So Krishna clearly mentions that he wants our offering, and there's no going away from that understanding. And then Lord Krishna in in Srimad Bhagavatam in 11th canto 23rd chapter, there's a beautiful conversation between Lord Krishna and Uddhava, where Lord Krishna is explaining to him the qualities of Avanti Brahman, how by virtue of his wrongdoing he got very stingy, he became a miser, and then how he tried to protect his wealth, and by trying to protect his wealth, he gets attached to, then he leads a life of, you know, getting money in an easy way from here and there, leading to theft. He tried to curb others from looking at his wealth, and if they don't, he indulge in violence. And in order to protect wealth, how he uh, kept on saying lies, how he maintained duplicity in a way where he is trying to sway the clear understanding or clear qualities of a given person. He had lost, angered, his his perplexed by his attitude, uh, and he had pride, he had quarreling, he had enmity towards everyone, and he was not faithful to his wife. And then he had envy, and when he had a lot of these money, then the women who want to take benefit of you, they come in, they indulge in wrong things, and then gambling and intoxication. So these 15 qualities, because of the wealth, degrades the person. And what are the 15 qualities which Krishna mentions to Uddhava about the Avanti Brahman? Is about our attitude to steal something, attitude to steal taxes for that matter. People steal, undervalue their tax. They try to steal by, they work for 7 hours, but they try to put 8 hours. That attitude of theft is within those kind of individuals, and they're often violent because they, uh, when their rights are taken away, they become violent. They speak lies. They're double standards. They're full of lust, anger. They're confused. They have a lot of pride. They quarrel a lot, and they have enmity. They have faithlessness. They have envy to others, which is the last step to hell. If you don't shun envy, you can't go back. You have to. If you have envy, you have to go to hell. That's why they say envy is the last door to hell. And because of the wealth, there are other people who take benefit of you. Bad women, or gambling. Here, the question of bad woman, it works the other way. When a woman has a lot of wealth, she gets association of bad men, and gambling and intoxication. So these are the 15 qualities. We have to be very careful in our ability. We should shun these qualities, because these 15 qualities trigger from our ability to protect or gather wealth. And if these qualities are not shunned, we'll have a tendency to wrongly protect our wealth. So it goes both ways. If you have wealth, you'll try to protect it, and all these 15 qualities, bad qualities, emerge. And if you have these 15 qualities, you have a propensity to protect. So we really have to shun this attitude, and that's where Lord Krishna mentions. So if you have wealth, what do? You basically, you enjoy with the wealth so that you get entangled. Punarapi Jananam Punarapi Maranam. Then, if you want to use it for the right, you probably do charitable work, dan. Or if you don't do this, then with the wealth, by trying to protect, it will destroy yourself. So bhoga or dan or nas. And in that context, Lord says something very beautiful. He says, if the Lord has kripa in somebody, if he favors someone, he gradually deprives him of his wealth. In chapter 88 of Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, beautiful uh, discussion. If Lord likes somebody, if Lord has kripa on somebody, if Lord favors someone, he gradually deprives him of his wealth. Then the relative and friend of such poverty-stricken man abandon him, and in this way he suffers one distress after another, and finally he comes to him. So Lord is saying, so if you see Srimad Bhagavatam is all about how to give up, how to be charitable, how to renunciate. And in this age, people talk about work is worship. See, the problem is nobody taught us how to work. Everybody taught us how to work, but nobody taught us how to work and not get attached to the work. And that is where Bhagavad Gita tells this to us. And Srila Prabhupada's message in Bhagavad Gita is very, very clear. Nobody taught us how to get rid of the outcome of the work. Everybody told us to do work. So basically it's like this. They told us to go do work. Work is worship. Kam puja hai, this, that. But after that we get so much entangled. The same parents, the same relatives who really push us to do this after when they become 70 and we become 40 or 50, we realize there is a big mistake they have done in pushing in that direction. They never taught us how to not get entangled by the outcome of the work. And that is where Lord clearly says that if he benefits, and if you see, Srila Prabhupada had a factory, had a small, and that factory caught fire. He lost all the money. And Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse in that sense, and he clearly mentions that when Lord was pleased with me, Lord wanted to have favoring tendency to me. First thing he did was he took all the money away. That means that enhance the sense of surrender. And you see that again and again and again in many different places. And and we are in a misconstrued world where we are asked to go after work, work, work. What is work? Work is indirectly turning to money, right? There's no difference between work and wealth. But that wealth, if it is the effects of the wealth, if it is not shunned from us, not insulated from us, we are in big, big trouble. And nobody taught that except Bhagavad Gita, which we do by the systematic study. This essence or nectar is so unique. As you dwell on it, you discuss it in the presence of devotees, you realize what Krishna has left a message. That's why Krishna's message is Guhyatam. Guhyatam means very confidential. But the outside world understands that as if we're asked to do the work. But nobody taught us that doing work can be dangerous if you do not take the right protection. If you go and do work in a factory without a helmet, you can do the work, but there are dangers to it. So people let us go out and do work without protection. And that's the reason why there is so much of problem now. And what are the problem? These 15 problems: theft, violence, speaking lies, duplicity, lust, anger, perplexity, pride, quarreling, enmity, faithlessness, envy, and dangers caused by women, gambling, intoxication, as Avanti Brahmana was facing. And finally, Lord had to come and take everything away if he has his mercy, and with that he will deprive him of his wealth, and by that they will slowly and slowly deprive him of his karmic reaction, and eventually. So when you think about this that's why Gyanis mentions how karma yoga is inferior in that sense, because you get entangled, and that is where a true renunciate is Janak Maharaj. And we gave the example of Janak Maharaj before. I don't want to take a lot of time. Janak Maharaj's palace was burning, and Janak Maharaj was in his Gurudev's place hearing his discourse. And when the person came to tell that his palace is burning, Janak Maharaj was fully committed to listening to his guru, and he never left the place. And so that's why the examples of kings at that time, they were full of renunciation. They were called, they were not kings, they were Raja Rishis. They were they're saintly kings. They are Rajashris, Raja Rishis, like Janak Maharaj, Bharat Maharaj. They, for them, uh, it's not about enjoying the wealth because they're kings. It is about how to be renunciate so that we can be at the service of the service of the service of the subjects. And that's why Janak Maharaj is one of the Mahajans. And here we have Ambarish Prabhu who is helping build. He is the great grandson of Henry Ford, and he's helping build the TOVP from ground up. So a lot to ponder, about, but the true renunciate is one who doesn't give up work, but he works with the intent to get rid of the outcome of the work. Rather, uh, so these people are very, and there are many actually in India. There are big businessmen who are ISKCON devotees, but at the end of the month, they would give all their savings to their Gurudev in India. And it's precisely because COVID taught us what the need of money is. Most of the time, when we're locked down for 2, 3 years, it is purely the basic necessities which got us going. The cars were lying idle, the big houses were lying idle, and everybody realized the fact that the value of wealth is nothing, and but people, by the wrong presumption, by the wrong knowledge, because they are not equipped with the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, they're always given the wrong message. And because of the wrong message they get from outside world, work is worship, without understanding the reaction of the work, they go astray. And that's the reason why there is a lot of trouble in this material world. So we can go on and on. A very powerful verse, and this is the real essence of Bhagavad Gita. And if we have understood it, that how do work with the intent, not to get entangled with the reaction of the work, that then we have understood. But most of the people, they just do work to go up and up and up, and it's a rat race. And in that situation, nobody can stay healthy. So beautiful words. Lord Krishna is mentioning the qualities of a true renouncer. If and this is exactly people who say, do your work, don't uh, expect the result of the work. But here Krishna systematically, slowly and slowly, is giving the knowledge to Arjuna about modes, about uh, the Medhavi renouncer, and now he's talking about a true renouncer. So we'd like to end here. Want to hear your comments, question, and reflections. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Any comments, Prabhu? Any questions?
Prabhuji, thank you so much for the class. I had one question. Like in our life, if something bad happens, how practically can we take it as a positive, say job loss or something? Like in theory, it sounds good, but like you start thinking about all the worldly problems that can come as a consequence of something bad happening. How do we even have the mental strength to apply this?
Yes, very nice question. This is a practical question. See, this job, as you know, Prabhu, is temporary. Whatever job we end up doing, and by virtue of the job loss, it has become even more temporary. Okay, so in that way, if we think that whatever job we are in, whether a job prolongs our life or stay in that job for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever the case may be, it is bound to be temporary, and the job loss had made it temporary. So conceptually, it is not to be concerned about. But at the same time, if we take that as a positive approach and then try to look for a job which kind of balances our ability to do our care of the family, our spirituality, and our see, sometimes what happens is there is a job loss can be due to some unforeseen situations from your side. It is entirely a cut people are going through. Or sometimes what happens is maybe the Lord has some message behind it wherein you really want to calm down, take some peace out of it. So a lot of times, if you see, Prabhu, job losses are not comfortable at all. But in any job loss, uh, people go through and analyze. They conclude that sometimes it may be beneficial in the sense that it gives us an opportunity to retrospect and think about what is right. Is it worth it? Is it and sometimes, most of the time, uh, our uh, our wants are so high, we truly do not want a job which is so high paying, because this more and more you end up becoming high paying job oriented, more pressure is going to come, because the employer is not going to give you more money by making you work less. So so it is. So in any in job life, it is a pure mechanical equation. If he is giving you more, he is expecting more. If he is giving you less, probably you have time to diversify into other things. So, and also our needs and wants are very limited. If you think about the kind of uh, if a person is from a very materialistic parentage, they would have saved for 7 generations, if you see. So, in a way, we are actually over, we are, the situation in many Indian families is not a question of need, it's a question of want. So, and most of the time we don't recognize it. So we kind of work like a dog and a hog, and eventually when we get to a point, we realize we shouldn't have worked so unnecessarily, for that matter. So if you had to make money, Lord will make it comfortable for you to make money. So we have to understand the pulse of the message Supreme Personality of Godhead is trying to give us. And and if you are not lazy in the situation where you lost your job, or somebody lost your job, and you did your job with integrity and truthfulness to your capability, there's nothing to feel bad about. And that's where Bhagavad Gita gives us strength, that maybe that's the right thing to have happened at that point in time, or something of that nature. So with the confines of the devotee, you will rationalize the outcome more nicely than a spontaneous knee jerk, that, oh, hey, I lost the job because of, so it makes you stoop down or something like that. It's not like that. It's a matter of uh, retrospecting for the right balance in the near future. Is that okay, bro?
Yes, yes, very much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Thank you, bro. And any other comments, questions, reflections? Is the cold too much? Is snow already on the road, or it's not?
Yesterday, mild snow, Prabhuji, but
Hmm.
it's just I think the weather change. Our body is still getting used to it. So move was tough. So body immunity
Hmm.
went uh, because of it was a large move. So our body immunity went down. So we got sick from that. And now I think
Hmm.
weather also sudden weather changes up and down. So I think our body is still getting used to it. So
Hmm.
we are getting sick a lot more.
Hmm.
But usually people said they generally do get that in first year. It takes
Hmm.
a while to get used to the weather,
Hmm.
then it will become all right.
Yeah, yeah, you're right, bro. I mean, I just came back from India for a month. We were under the weather, not because of the weather here is bad.
Hmm.
It's because during the travel there is so much of interaction, virus, this, that, and all.
That's right.
It's not easy. And when a person is in 20s, he can recover easily.
Hmm.
But when we are when you're growing, it's not easy. So I understand your situation, bro.
That's,
So tomorrow is Kartik Purnima in our temple. We will have a lot of program. The last day of Kartik, the last day of Damodar Ashtakam recital in the temple before Kartik leaves us. So very auspicious day, and we have programs, and we have i- informed the the events.
Correct. I nothing here.
So, Prabhuji, I have a doubt. Like, since yeah, currently the Bhakti Viksha is going on a good flow with Bhagavad Gita chapters, and we are almost in the last chapter, is what I guess. So after that, what is your plan, Prabhuji? You will restart Bhagavad Gita?
Yeah, so Mataji, what I was doing in the beginning, I was doing the top 108 verses. But as you know, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is summarizing in the 18th chapter. So I'm not going uh, the more prominent verses like I was doing from 1 to 16 or 1 to 17. So now I'm doing one verse at a time, because there is a lot to gather, because whatever Krishna mentions in the first 16 17 chapters, he is once again revising it on the 18th chapter. So even if you are restarting, Mataji, from 18th, and I go one verse after other, you will get a good picture of the entire thing. So I'm in 11, and this chapter goes all the way to, there is still 50 more verses left in this chapter. This is a long chapter, so I'll have enough for a year or two, Mataji. I'm going one after other.
Okay, Prabhuji. Okay, okay. I was curious about that because here Bhakti Viksha is so much different. 2, 3 places we went, but they only speak about the respective days' glories. Like, for example, tomorrow you said Kartik Purnima. So 2 weeks back it was about Radha Kund appearance. So for that, I became more inclined to listening to slokas and the descriptions, like how it's happening in New Jersey. So that's what I was. That's why we are reverting back, because we get a lot of messages through the slokas and Bhagavad Gita verses. So that's what
Definitely,
I was. Yeah.
definitely.
Okay, Prabhu. Yeah.
Because if you see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he's not just a great friend of Arjuna, but he's a great teacher, and his way of uh, s- referring to his friend is different based on the verse. Like sometimes you'll refer him as Dhananjaya, sometimes you'll refer to him as Bharata. That means he's the descendant of Bharata. So his method of teaching, and if you follow, there is a science to it. And once we grab that science, we get more enthused, and we feel like studying it. So we don't want to let it go. And of course, the festivals are important, and that's the reason why we have an announcement section at the end, which gives an important version of the festival as well. So we will go 18.12 next time, then 18.13 next time, and so on and so forth. All
Thank
right.
you, Prabhu.
So
Thank you.
okay, Madhaj. So let's end here. Please keep joining, and any question, any comment, please message me in WhatsApp, or anybody for that matter. So let's pray at the lotus feet of all Vaishnavas by saying Vancha Kalpataru Vaishya Kripa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanevya Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. We'll end here.
Jai.
Hari Bol. Hope to see you
Haribol.
next Saturday. Hari Bol. Dandot Pranam.